Terrific, terrific. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Pickering School Building Committee. Roll call, please.
Mayor Nicholson,
Present.
Dr. Alvarez,
Present.
Mr. Bertino, Member Castellanos, Councilor Chakutis, Mr. Donovan,
Present.
Ms. Drago,
Sorry, present.
Member Gately,
Present.
Ms. Girado, Mr. Kolakidis,
Present.
Councilor LaPierre, Mr. Makua, Mr. Mannion,
Present.
Mr. Marlin,
Present.
Mayor McGee, Councilor Meany, Ms. Miller,
Present.
Ms. Philbrook, Mr. Ridley,
Present.
Ms. Ruggiero, and Mr. Smart.
Present.
Fantastic. All right. We do have our quorum, so I'll go and share my screen. I'll quickly do the, let's see. First things first. You should all be able to see that now.
Yeah.
All right, so tonight we're actually going to start with the middle school redistricting presentation, which Lauren Drago is going to walk us through. Then there'll be some time for questions and answers for that topic. We'll move on to administrative actions, which is primarily just to review and approve the meeting minutes. We'll go through our project update, procurement, construction, and then the ground improvements. And then we'll close things out with upcoming SBC meetings and then kind of the general questions. So let me switch screens here. Oops. Almost there. Lauren, we'll turn things over to you. Just let me know when you want to go to the next. Oh, sorry, I haven't shared it yet. There, now you should all be able to see that.
Perfect, thank you. So yes, I'm filling in for Deb Ruggiero tonight. She provided this same slides that you're about to see at the March school committee meeting. We wanted to take this opportunity to update this body about what's been happening in the conversation around redistricting to accommodate the new school. So on the next slide, we've been starting the presentation emphasizing the work of this committee in moving forward with this beautiful school. On the next slide, we talked through some of the stats for the building. I'm sure this group is very familiar and I don't need to review with all of you. It's going to be a terrific new school for the Lynn public school system. On the next slide, we introduce a little bit the need for redistricting for LPS for the middle schools. Of course, the Pickering Middle School is going to have an increased design capacity of 1,100 students. And right now, the enrollment numbers are closer to 543. And if we look at the schools around the other two schools in the district, that's pretty imbalanced. And so we wanted to take the time to think through how we would reshuffle the district boundaries to ensure that we have a balance across all three schools. What's not changing is anyone's assigned middle school before folks get into the new building in the 2027-2028 school year. We're also not changing anyone's elementary school or high school assignment. So we are only discussing redistricting the middle schools. And then additionally, There's a lot of students who end up not going to the geographically assigned middle school, whether it's to access specific programming or for other policies. None of that is changing. So the geographic boundaries are really a starting point. Folks will still go to different schools depending on their needs, as has been the case previously. Next slide. I won't read through this slide for you since everyone has it in their email, but this is the existing conditions. You can see for every elementary school, we have anywhere from 1 to 3 assigned middle schools that those students would be going to once they're complete with the elementary school. Next slide. So working from those existing conditions, our priority was really to just balance the middle schools so that it was more even across the 3 schools, and keeping in mind the building capacity at each school and the general student enrollment trends. Our priorities for assigning the schools really emphasized having the closest and most convenient school for each household. Of course, the updated facilities, making sure there's easy access to the schools that people are assigned to. But then we also did a process of assessing how that matched to the elementary school boundary. For a lot of families, this is how they think about it: is the elementary school, you want to think about what comes next. And so we wanted to be mindful of those historic elementary boundaries and match those as best as we could. So with that in mind, in the next slide, this is the end result of what the 3 districts would be. We started our analysis by looking at all of the students in that future middle school cohort for the 2027-2028 school year, and we assigned them to their nearest school geographically. From there, we made a few changes just to improve convenience based on where the street network was, to make sure that folks had a convenient school in their neighborhood. And then finally, as I mentioned, we reviewed the elementary school boundaries and made a few additional adjustments to make sure that we were matching those boundaries as best as seemed sensible. So on the next slide, you can see the areas where districts did change. In that those polka dots indicate places where households have been reassigned to a different middle school district. And so Pickering specifically would now be taking students from Aborn Elementary, a portion of Cobbett Elementary, Ford, Hood, Lynn Woods, Shoemaker, Sisson, and then parts of Ingalls and Tracy Elementary schools as well. On the next slide, this specifically shows how the changes impacted from the elementary feeder schools. So what you're seeing here is Aborn used to send to Marshall and Pickering. Now they will only be sending to Pickering. Cobbett used to send to all 3. Now they will only be sending to Marshall and Pickering. Ford and Hood both originally were sending to Marshall and Pickering. Now they will only be doing Pickering. Ingalls has added Pickering in their distribution. Sewell Anderson is only going to Breed now, and Tracy will be going to Breed and Pickering, whereas previously they were only going to Breed. And so what this does for our enrollment is that we achieve our goals around the and balancing the schools. So the existing that you'll see on the left, Pickering had 18% of the middle school population. Now on the right, you can see that we're pretty fairly balanced. And of course, we were working on the students that we have in the system. Now this is going to change over time depending on how people move and new students coming into the district, but those ratios seem really promising of having a balance of 1/3 of each of the middle school students at each school. Next slide. So the key takeaways are that more students in this model are assigned to their closest school than previously. 82% of students in the middle school cohort are assigned to their geographically closest school. So we're hoping that generally this feels like a very convenient redistricting for all the families involved. Additionally, more elementary schools are assigned to one middle school, which we hope adds clarity and makes it easier for folks to understand what their path for their student is going to be. And then we are going to have obviously more students at the new Pickering school, which is such a big success for this project. To be able to accommodate more students at a brand new facility is fantastic. And then, for what it's worth, too, 81% of the assigned students in the middle school cohort remain in the same boundary that they were previously located in. So it is a big success. Pickering is going to be able to accommodate a lot more students, but at the same time, we're not completely starting from scratch. This is, for the most part, similar to what we had previously. And on the next slide, so as I mentioned, Deb provided this update to the school committee meeting on March 27th. That coincided with the launch of a community comment period. So all of this information has been available. There was a public forum, and we're presenting this now. I'm happy to answer any questions from other school building committee members. And the goal is to be able to go back to school committee on June 12th to get the official vote to approve the redistricting. And I believe on the next slide, we have, so this was the survey that is available, all the information about the district for families. My understanding is that LPS has been sending this out through a variety of channels to their families. And on the next slide, they talk through the comments we've received. So far, only 10. We've had a couple of comments. You can read through the details here. 2 folks were talking about Sewell Anderson now being Just Breed, where previously some of them would have had access to Pickering. 3 comments were concerned about adding more students to Pickering and overcrowding. To be clear, our goal here is to meet the design capacity of the new building, not to exceed that. So that we feel comfortable with. Concerns about traffic, questions about students at 100 Bennett Street, and then 2 folks who actually responded just to say they were in favor of the plan, which is always nice too. I think that's it for our slides, but I'm happy to take any questions if folks have them.
Very nice job. Thank you for pulling this together.
Thank you.
All right, well, I don't see any hands raised. So let me get back to the other presentation. So hopefully you can all see the meeting minutes graphic up there now. So the meeting minutes from last month's SBC meeting were distributed earlier today. Sorry for it coming in late. If there were no questions or concerns, we'd be seeking a motion to approve these.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Our next topic is just a quick update on procurement. So last month, we talked about kind of the various bid protests that the project has seen, specifically relative to the electrical work. All this stuff in gray is information that we presented last month. The new information is that the Attorney General's Office bid unit held a hearing on April 30th. The next step is that they're going to take that information and develop their decision and draft that and distribute it to everybody. We are currently still waiting for that. The previous electrical bid protest, which was a couple months before, it took about 2 weeks from the day of the hearing until when we got the decision. If that same kind of pattern applies to this go round, that decision 2 weeks is today. And so that decision could come out any day now. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for it. Any questions about that? Next, I'd like to turn things over to Brandon, who will give us a construction progress update.
Yeah, we'll go through some of the activities we've been doing on site over the last month. One of the big things we want to highlight here is last week across the country was Construction Safety Week. It's something Consigli participates on all our job sites. So every site's a little different in terms of the schedule, but first thing in the morning, every single day last week, is we did a toolbox talk with all workers on site, focused on different aspects of safety and different scenarios, get everyone in the same room and really reinstate the importance of safety every single day on the job site. And then we always end the week with a lunch for all the workers on site for as a sign of appreciation for all the hard work they do and working safe thus far, and the continued emphasis to do so. The photos you see here are of our detention systems number 1 and 2. So these go in under the area of what will be the finished parking lot. So those have both been completed, backfilled, and we've now done our subgrade over the top of them in preparation for binder, which will be the permanent binder of the new parking lot. Towards the end of this month is where we're planning that, right after Memorial Day. This is one of the mornings on site with some soil trucks ready to haul off some of our last remaining stockpiles. We still have a couple that are waiting for some paperwork on so that we can haul those off to the appropriate sites, but we are very close to being substantially complete with the majority of our soil disposal on site. This photo is one of our gates on Magnolia Ave. So it's our tie-in of our water system to the city's water line under the existing street. So this is now complete. We've done our chlorination process. They've taken samples of the water and the new piping that we've done. We're waiting for that test to come back clear. And then we'll be able to say that our water is fully connected on Magnolia.
And I think,
right.
Given the delay in the foundations, Consigli's been able to do a lot of this work that would have been put off for a couple of years. So we have been able to make progress on the overall project.
Yeah, to Lynn's point, this was all work that was scheduled for, I'd say, on our way out of the job site at the end of the schedule. It wasn't possible with all the logistics of steel and concrete and all the other construction activities, but using this period of flux with the schedule, we've tackled everything we possibly can with Dorenzo, our site work sub, to get in a very good spot when it comes to site utilities and being ready for hardscapes and landscapes.
Just want to pause here if there are any questions about the construction progress before we get into the next topic, which is supportive excavation and ground improvements, which has got a lot of material.
I guess the other thing I just want to hit, Greg, for everyone here is, other than just the stuff that you see happening on site with site work, we are very heavy in all of our submittals, RFIs. We've started our MEP coordination with the trades, except the electrician while we wait for that to be figured out. But we are really in the depths of getting things approved so we can get things onto a material delivery log and start tracking deliveries and get things released. So we are very heavy into that paperwork side of the front end of our construction project to make sure that we're set and we have everything lined up to go once we do have the green light again.
Very good, thank you. Any questions before we move on? So, as I mentioned, is kind of a lot of information. So bear with us. There'll definitely be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of this. So this slide, I know it's got a lot of writing on it, but what we presented last month is that all the parties on the project team have agreed on a solution to resolve the soil defects. And that solution involves rigid inclusions and earthquake drains. The work to design and coordinate these elements is ongoing. We arrived at that design and have been developing it, and it's been a time-consuming process, no doubt. And furthermore, the team anticipates that the actual installation is also going to be a time-consuming event. We sort of termed it as tedious up here on the slide. We reported.
I will also say that we have targeted for this week the performance and design parameters, which will allow Keller, the contractor that will be installing, to get started with their submittals so that we're hoping to march toward a June 1st start in the ground.
Great, good point, Lynn, thank you. So as Lynn was just mentioning, you know, Keller has been working with engineer of record Terracon to finalize that stuff. Other activities, Simpson, Gumpertz, and Hager, SGH has stepped in to augment the support of excavation design. Something else that sort of towards the bottom of the slide, something else we're going to discuss in a moment, is the recommendation to switch to a different HVAC system, which will reduce the project cost and installation time. So with that in mind, that's what these last couple bullet points are, is that RDA's engineers are working on revised designs for HVAC system, as well as impacts to various electrical, plumbing, and structural components. Consigli's been leading the charge in estimating project costs and schedule impacts. And then last bullet, MSBA has been, you know, left field has been keeping MSBA informed kind of all along. All right, so next I want to give you a quick overview of what we know. So the problems with the soil are proving to be technically challenging to resolve and unfortunately expensive to mitigate. So using the best information that the team currently has, we anticipate the cost of the remedy is going to exceed the construction budget that we've got in place. Not the total project budget, but the construction portion. We also know that placing the foundations is on the critical path, and which means when there's a delay to the foundations, that results in a delay to the overall project. So, you know, work on the foundations has been held up significantly. So, you know, the team has been working on, you know, what to do about all this. We know that the project includes a geothermal well field, which is both has a high price tag and takes a long time to install. We know that there are other options for the HVAC system that have a lower upfront cost and can be installed quicker than the geothermal, specifically air source heat pumps.
Which is also a green, sustainable system.
Yes, absolutely. So the project needs to reduce costs somewhere to offset the added cost needed to remediate the soil defects. And we want to reduce the overall construction duration to have a chance at opening the school on time. And so that gets me into the next slide, which is what the team is figuring on at the moment, given what we know. And, you know, this all comes with a big disclaimer that because the design of the rigid inclusions, the earthquake drains, supportive excavation, and the HVAC system are all ongoing. Those designs are still happening until that's done. We won't, and the installation begins and we see how quickly it can go. This is our best guess given what we know. So you can see that over here on the green, you know, the schedule's trending towards opening the school mid-November 2027, but we recognize how important it is to try to push back on that and push that back to September. So we don't exactly know what's possible yet, but the entire project team is focused on that goal of getting back to September, if at all possible. One thing we do know is that we have to reduce the project costs and the construction time. The project team's been looking hard at how to solve that problem. One way to do that is to swap out that geothermal HVAC system for that air source heat pump system. So with that kind of assumption or that concept, Consigli's taken a pass at the math, which is what you see on the right-hand side of the screen here. So just quickly going through that. So the top line shows $8.2 million estimated to pay for these ground improvements. 2 lines down, we see that if we take out the geothermal system, we're looking at like a $6.4 million credit, less line number 2, which is $350,000 in kind of sunk costs. We know that once we take out the geothermal system, this is line 4, the upgrades to the HVAC and electrical equipment is going to cost about 1.5 million. And then we also know that there is bid savings from the resilient flooring bid, and then anticipated bid savings from the electrical bid once that gets finalized, which lower the project cost about 2.5 million. So when you take all these numbers and, you know, add them up, what we see is an estimate of $1.1 million above what we were scheduled to pay for the construction. And so where's that money come from? So that money will come from the owner's contingency. You can see in this red note down here at the bottom of the screen, we just want to restate that these numbers are all very rough. It's just to get our hands around a solution. As the team learns more, we expect this number to be revised. Next month we'll be a month further along in the process, and so we'll hopefully have more confidence in sort of the data that we can present.
And we feel strongly that the 1.1 million that we're projecting as an overage right now can be safely taken out of our owner's construction and soft cost contingencies and still leave us with enough contingency to get through the project.
Great point. So I know this is a lot of information. Maybe before we open it up to questions, anything else? Brandon, John, anyone on the project team wants to sort of add on to that?
I mean, I would just reiterate what you said, Craig, and that these costs are estimates we've put together with the information we have. So they will take, we're tweaking them every week as more information gets solidified. So there is the opportunity for this to move one way or the other, but we're doing what we can to give the best information we possibly can at the time.
And we haven't had really big swings in these numbers either, Brandon. So that's why we felt comfortable enough sharing, is because as things have been refined, we haven't seen big swings yet. So hopefully we can stick somewhere in this ballpark.
All right, so
I just like to jump in. I think just for the committee, we talked last time that it was good that we had identified a solution that the engineers were starting to align on, but that it was going to have an impact on the project. And I think what we're seeing tonight is what that impact looks like today. And I think it's important for the committee to know that our preference is, if possible, is to do the geothermal. If that is and that's something we're going to continue to try to push for. But if we had to solve this today, this is what the project team would recommend, and we don't even know yet if that's the final recommendation, because as they said, they're still doing these tests. But it's good to know that if we had to solve it today, that there is a viable way to do that. And a couple notes in the geothermal. I think one, it does depend on these tax credits that are there's some risk there, and clearly some it seems to be elevated risk based on how things have gone over the last year. But even if we were to be able to accommodate it financially, it sounds like there's potential operational challenges in terms of how the construction goes, given the new understanding of what is in the soil, and certainly for the calendar. So there'd be real trade-offs there. And I think the project team wanted to sort of show where we were at, because we want to keep the project. We want to keep the building committee apprised. But as they said, this is still sort of being worked out. And we'll continue to share those updates as they come through.
Absolutely. See, Mr. Mannion's got his hand up.
Yeah, I just, quick comment. The geothermal has been something that I have been interested in a long time. It's a long-term savings for the city over a short-term gain. Most importantly is to get the school open on time to me. But if there's any way this can work out to put the geothermal in, I think that would be the best. As me as a taxpayer in the city, it would save millions of dollars over the life of the building. That's all I have to say about it.
Understood. Other questions? And there'll definitely be more opportunities to talk about this. As Mayor Nicholson was saying, this is an evolving process, and so we can definitely revisit at subsequent SBC meetings. All right, so if there aren't any other questions about this right now, I'll show you the next slide. So earlier this month, I sent around calendar events with Zoom links, extending this meeting series out to June of 2026. So if you didn't see that, let me know. Just shoot me an email or give me a call, and we'll get to the bottom of it. Upcoming meetings, we've got one on June 18th, then July 16th, and then August 13th.
And I will say that we may want to call another meeting in the next couple of weeks if we have to make some tough decisions about if we're going to do geothermal or not. That will be critical.
Great point. And so that'll come, we'll send an email out to everybody, similar to the invitations, requesting your, see if we can get a quorum together. All right. I think that's all we had for this evening, unless there are other questions and comments that the committee has.
I just want to say thank you again to the project team for continuing to drive this forward. Thank you to the school building committee. This is certainly a challenge to the project. It's reassuring that we now have wrapped our hands around what the issue is and know that we can fix it. And we'll have to work together to figure out now how to get that idea across the finish line, and look forward to working with all of you to do that.
Okay.
Before we close, I just wanted to ask, just for record, I see a CN. That's not someone from the committee, is it?
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
See no further business. We entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor. All right.
Aye.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye.
Hey, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.